Welcome to the Sheppard Fit Farm. I'm B.A. Sheppard, 2 P's, A-R-D. Have you ever thought about the potential that you have within you? I mean, have you ever really sat down and thought about all the greatness that's within you? Well, this is my job. My job and my responsibility in the world, I believe that this is my calling in life, is to help people to realize just the awesomeness that they have within them. Working in the gym and working with people, helping them to personally train and train their bodies, train their minds, transform their lives. I have an opportunity to do one thing, to do one major thing, and that is to help a person unlock their own potential. See, the thing about being a personal trainer is this: there's nothing that I can do to transform you. There's nothing I can do to transform the person that I'm working with. All I can really do is help them bring out what's already inside of them. See, we can go to the gym, we can go to the track, we can be in any kind of environment, and there's nothing that I can do externally that can make them better. All I can do is encourage them to put themselves in a position that when they get into that place of resistance, when they get into that place of work, that what is in them is unleashed and unlocked. I'll give you a story. And this story has really nothing to do with me personal training, but it has to do with me and my daughter. One day we were at the pool. We went to the swimming pool. And in the swimming pool, they have this huge slide, and the slide, in order for her to get onto the slide, there are some requirements that she had to meet. She had to be able to swim a certain distance in the deep end at the 9-foot section of the swimming pool, and she had to be able to tread water for 15 seconds. Now, my daughter had never been into the deep end of the pool. She had never swam in the 9-foot section of the pool. However, she had swam in 5 feet and 4 feet, and she had been in a situation where she was, where the water was over her head, but never in 9 feet. So, 9 feet, that's the deep end, that's where the grown-ups are down there doing lap swimming. But in order for her to ride this slide, which she said she wanted to ride, she had to go take this test. And so, going down there for the very first time, I began, as she walked down there with the swim instructor, I began to watch her become afraid. I began to watch her become afraid because she had never been there, and I think it was just the fact that the water was so deep that she began to really be visibly troubled. And so I told her, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do this at all. There's nothing about this that you have to do. But she wanted to go on the slide. And so because she wanted to go on the slide, she had to take this test. And so some other children jumped in and they did the test. And she was a little hesitant. So, she started to cry. And what I told her, you don't have to do it. And so we dismissed the lifeguard, and the lifeguard went on their way. And she's telling me, but I really want to, I really want to. I said, well, fine. I said, well, here, go on this side and get into the deep end. And so she says, will you get in with me? And I said, okay, I'll sit on the side and you get in. So she gets in and she starts to swim in 9 feet. She's starting to swim. And as she starts to swim, she's doing just fine. And then all of a sudden, she begins to panic. And she begins to cry. And she's swimming and she's crying, and she's starting to get a little hysterical. I'm right there with her, but she's starting to get a little hysterical because fear is setting in her mind. So she starts yelling, she's screaming, she's crying. And while she's crying, she has stopped swimming forward in 9 feet, and she's beginning to tread water. And she's crying, and she's crying, and as she's crying and screaming, she's treading water, and now she's just staying afloat. And she's done this now for 10 seconds, 11 seconds, and I'm watching. It's 12 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. And she's still going, she's crying and she's screaming, but she's treading water. She's staying above the water. And eventually I tell her, well, just swim to the side. She's about a foot or two from me, but I tell her, swim to the side. And she swims to the side. And she's crying and she's tired and she wants to get out. And it's fine. She can come on out, get on out. So she gets out. And so she's afraid now. She's crying. And so after she calms down a bit, I asked her, I said, why did you start crying? She said, because I was scared. I was scared. I said, why were you scared? I was right there with you. Well, I was scared because I was in 9 feet and it's deep. And you and I perhaps have been in those kind of situations where we're wanting to do something. Her goal, remember, was not to swim in 9 feet. All she really wanted to do was swim in, she wanted to ride the slide, which the slide emptied into 3.5 feet of water, which she always plays down there. But in order for her to come down the slide and land in 3 feet, she had to take a test at 9 feet. And think about this, have you ever been in a place where you wanted to do one particular thing, but in order to get there, you had to go through here? Think about your goals and vision as a person, perhaps exercising your body. No one that I've really met, most people that I meet, their goal is really not to perform some astronomical feat in the gym. Their goals, however, are usually to look nicer. Wait, no, let me go back. Goal number 1, I want to lose weight. Goal number 2, I want to look better in my clothes. Goal number 3, I want to just feel better. I want to be more healthy. But in order to lose some weight, to fit into clothes differently, to look nicer, feel better, they have to go through the gym. They have to go through this exercising process, through this discipline of eating. They have to go through a particular discipline in order to get to their ultimate goal. Now think about your life. Think about your dreams. Think about your hopes. Think about the things that you say you really want. Remember, my daughter really wanted to do the slide. But in order to get there, she had to pass through 9 feet. In order for her to ride a slide that landed in 3 feet, she had to pass through 9 feet. It might not even seem like it makes sense, but somewhere, someone's processing, they process that, you know what, if a person can do this, they can handle going down the slide. And so my question to you is, what is your slide? What is the thing in your life? What is the aspiration in your life that you really want, but you're not able to necessarily grasp because you haven't passed through the area of 9 feet? See, she's yet to ride that slide because she's yet to finish the test. She hasn't passed the particular test in the deep end. So she's not able to enjoy the pleasures of the shallow end. See, your life and my life and even her life, we have a compelling call to go into a place that's deeper than where we are now. It's that place that puts us in the position of being in over our heads. See, what I explained to my daughter and what I'll explain to you is this. The mystical, scary part of the deep end is that beneath you, there's so much depth. And so that's the fearful part. And the reason that you're afraid of the depth is because you're thinking about sinking. See, when your thought process and your consciousness is about sinking, you'll be more afraid of what's underneath you than what's all around you. Because she was swimming at the surface, she wasn't swimming at the bottom. She was on top of the water. She was at the higher level. She wasn't dwelling and swimming at the bottom level. And the same thing applies to you and I, because we all have these situations in our life where we look and the things look so deep and we're worried about the situation overtaking us and being over our heads instead of realizing that we can keep our head above the water. And while she was panicking and screaming and crying, she was actually passing the test that she was afraid to take. See, had she taken the test, she would have passed it. But because she was afraid, she never took it. And she didn't pass it. See, all that time that you were wasting and I was wasting, we could have been passing the test. There's a test for your life. There's there's a business that requires you to take a test. There's education that requires you to take a test. There is a relationship that requires you to pass a test. You have to pass the test in life in order to have the thing that you say you really want. You really want your body to be in shape? Well, the test is, are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to change your eating habits? Are you willing to change the diet of your life that you can exercise the dominion that's in your life? It's right there for you. But the question comes down to, will you pass the test? Will you even take the test? Do you want it bad enough that you'll overcome your fear and get into the deep end? You know what the shallow end is like. And when you're swimming, people my daughter likes to stay, she wants to stay in the shallow end sometime. And she said, I can swim, see? Well, what I have to point out to her is that you're not actually swimming, you're standing up. You might swim a few feet, but you can never really find out if you can really swim until you're at a place that your feet don't touch the ground anymore. When you're in a position where you can be over your head, that's when you find out just how well you can swim. See, it doesn't look good for you just to stay in the shallow end of life, because all that you're really learning how to do there is just to walk through water. You're never really learning how to swim. My question is, do you want what you want bad enough to take the test? Are you willing to jump into the deep end? If you're willing to jump into the deep end, that's what it takes. You have to jump into the deep end and take the test. You have to go through the process in order to get to that place that you want to get to. You have to discipline yourself. You have to change your mind. You have to overcome fear. And so, as you go through your day, remember and think about this. You're going to put yourself in a position that's deep. You're going to put yourself in a position, intentionally now, that you're in a position where you can drown. But the reason that you're there is because you want something greater. And so when you get into that position, don't focus on what's beneath you, but focus on staying at that high level. If you focus on staying on the surface, you focus on staying above the water, you never have to worry about the depths that are beneath you. And so when you learn how to swim in the 9 feet, you can swim in 100 feet or 1,000 feet or whatever depth you choose to swim in, because now you've learned how to swim. You've learned how to pass the test. You've become strong enough to pass the test, and so now when that test is presented to you at any level, you can pass it. You're destined to dominate life, but the decision is yours. Exercise your dominance. Dominate life. Thanks for joining us today on the Sheppard Fit Farm. Look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.